for us tonight. With me, Behnam Ben Taleblu, who is giving us some perspective on this, Senior Fellow of the Foundation for Defence of Democracies. An interesting title of your organisation when you look at the motley crew that we're talking about here, in a sense, because you're talking about this axis of, Iran through to Hezbollah, through to Russia, all of whom are in some shape or form involved in warfare elsewhere. And now we have, I guess, the last thing anybody really wanted was another tinderbox, which is Syria and Aleppo.
Indeed, and it's a pleasure to be with you. As you mentioned, that axis, which the Islamic Republic of Iran actually styles itself as such, they call themselves the axis of resistance, with them at the helm and a constellation of proxies that they've either created or co-opted. And the sole state partner in that axis is the Assad regime in Syria, which the Islamic Republic has bailed out, spending considerable money, national reputation, and treasure, as well as a deepened partnership with Russia. But on the other side of the ledger, as you know, of course, are Islamist insurgents, some of which were backed by Turkey, that have adhered to this 4-year, not ceasefire, but strategic pause in their campaign against Assad and against the Russians and against the Islamic Republic's proxy forces in the region. So it really is akin to this statement right now that some are saying, which is a repetition of a line ascribed to either Kissinger or Begin about the Iran-Iraq war, which is in some way, it's a shame that both can't lose.
You mentioned Turkey. Where does Turkey stand in all of this? Because Turkey is the powerful regional power, in a sense. It can't be determinative, but it certainly can set a tone and direction.
Indeed, and when you look at the capabilities of the Turkish army, for example, it's, for example, the second biggest army in NATO. It poses threats to Russian interests in Syria, even though it's changed its views on the Assad regime in Syria. And in fact, it was instrumental in creating military facts on the ground to later on diplomatically push for that pause in fighting 4 years ago, particularly in the northern part of the country. Turkey itself has had its proxy or partner forces in Syria actually fire on the Islamic Republic's proxies, Hezbollah. So it is a major military weight in the region, and not just against the Assad regime and its proxies, but against some of the Kurdish groups in the north, where Turkey has tried to get them to disconnect the cantons for quite some time now.
Can I just ask you, as I'm sitting here, you and I discussing this, I know this might sound a little naive, and I apologize if that's so, but how does the other side view, if you like, the West and the Western alliance? If you think about it as this, you've got Syria, Russia, Hezbollah, Iran, all of these countries, they would arguably be against, if you want to say, an EU, US, UK-led Western-style democracy view of the world. How did we end up with such diametrically opposed views, and how do they view us?
Well, that axis that you mentioned, the Islamic Republic and many of these proxy forces, and even the Russian Federation and their partners in Syria, like the Assad regime, they really are this axis. They really do share a least common denominator of a militant anti-Americanism, and some would even say a militant anti-Semitism, which is growing in their ranks. And this has helped them to compartmentalize some of the rivalries and ideological discrepancies that exist within each actor. So these are forces that believe they have history on their side. They're applying a continuous military muscle, and they will find themselves in a boom and bust cycle of violence in the Middle East, like that which we've been seeing for the past 2 days in the country's northwest.
I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you very much. Going into the weekend, and I wish you well. Thank you.